So welcome to this week's episode of the Drivetime Podcast. I'm joined this week by Anson Moniz, who is the VP of Product at Keyloop, one of my colleagues. He's going to be talking to us about two really chunky topics, particularly for retail, and that's supply and demand. So making sure you've got the right amount of customers, the right amount of stock at the right price. So stay tuned for this episode. It's an absolute belter. Anson, welcome to this week's episode of the Drivetime Podcast. Good to have you here.
It's good to be here, Jackie.
So Anson Moniz, VP of Product at Keyloop. We've been working together about a year, but it's really good. You now are running two fairly chunky parts of the ecosystem in the whole OEM automotive retail space. So I'd love to just get a bit of background into you and your journey, how you got here.
How I got here? Well, I got to Keyloop through an acquisition. So Keyloop bought a company called Automotive Transformation Group.
Yeah.
Keyloop already had a chief product officer, so I'm now VP product.
Okay. So there's a bit of a jiggle around of like musical chairs, as there is with any acquisition.
Always, yeah.
It's like, where do you fit and where do you feel most comfortable and actually what skill do you bring?
Yeah.
So so ATG was a major acquisition for us a year ago, and it kind of completed the circle of what we do as a business, which was brilliant. So how did you get into working with ATG in the first place? How long have you been in tech?
So I've been in tech for probably 15 years. So I started my career in automotive. So I started as an admin assistant, believe it or not, right? So doing the deal book manually in Excel.
Nice.
So basically all of that, the previous day's deals had to go into a deal book, which was then used to work out all of the profitability, all of the margins, etc. So that's how I started. And then I moved into running the workshop.
Right.
Again, it started off like a bit of an administration role running the workshop. And then like, oh, you're quite good at this. Do you want to actually run the workshop and be the service manager? So I then became the service manager. So I learned how to repair cars, diagnose cars. Then there was another opportunity that presented itself, and that was purchasing cars, right? Because I thought, well, I know how to fix cars now. I know what makes a good car and a bad car. Maybe I'll have a go at buying cars. So I moved into like this purchasing analyst role. So we used to work out all of the cars that the buyers needed to purchase. So we'd work out what we had in stock, what we needed, create them a shopping list, and they went off to auctions or whatever and went and purchased their cars. So I did that for a bit. And then that company was sold to another company. And I ended up working for a company called UK Car Group. So they bought the company I was working for. And UK Car Group, the biggest known brand was Carcraft, but they were based up in Rochdale. So I was going up and down from Hertfordshire or London to Rochdale, spending like, days on end up there working for them. And then I was working in software for them then.
Right.
And it's quite interesting because at that time they had this new concept, which was buying cars from consumers. So a well-known brand called We Buy Any Car. So I worked with a team, the project team, building We Buy Any Car. I worked on the whole the transportation side of it and how the cars were processed in the systems. And I was there when they bought the first car, which was quite interesting, especially if you see where it went from to being acquired by British car auctions, right?
Yeah, it's BCA in it now.
Quite an interesting journey. But that was sort of it was my first sort of real big dip into tech. The company was quite good at the time. They looked after their people. And I said, you know what, we've got an opening for a general manager down in Enfield. Do you want to run the site in Enfield? So I thought, well, I've never done that before, but, might as well give that a go. So rolled, obviously green, right? I know how to sell cars, right? I mean, I've been in and around the industry like up until this point for probably 5 years. Mm-hmm. So I know what's going on. So then I had to work out, right, how do 3 sales teams, right, high volume sales, car supermarket, right? How do I get this thing working? And that was a bit of a baptism of fire, right? But we worked it out. We used to sell, in excess of 70 cars a week through that site, which was quite a high volume, right, for a used car supermarket at that time.
Yeah. What year was this then when you were doing that?
That would have been 2007.
Right. So really just before, the world went to a bit of a mess in 2008.
Yeah.
With automotive. Well, it all kind of went a bit weird.
Well, that's when it was late 2007. A colleague I used to work with gave me a call and said, I'm over at this online car supermarket place. Like, this is right up your street. Do you want to come over and see what you can help us with? So, right. A guy called Gary Hobson. And I worked with him a couple of times previously in the past. So I went over there, had a look. It was the CMO was a Swedish chap called Frederick. He was really analytical and the way he looked at selling cars was so detailed compared to what I'd seen in the past. And I'm like, this is quite...
Would have been what we've seen in the past. That was
well, what was interesting, he was using airline technology, right? And he wanted to apply the way airlines used to price their tickets. He wanted to bring that into cars, right?
So dynamic pricing,
right? And obviously, a car's got a finite length of time that we want to have it in stock. So we optimize the amount of time we had a car in stock, but through price, but also trying to achieve the margins that we needed to achieve. Right. And it was the first time I'd ever seen prices going up and down on cars, right? Because historically, car prices would start high and then the sales manager
You'd wait for a bit and then drop them after 30 days.
But then this was using the data, the demand data from the website to then inform whether you should change your price or not, right? So it was really interesting, really cool technology. So I started there as the head of pricing. That was my main sort of piece. But then again, like most of my career, you're quite good at that. Do you want to do something else? So I moved into...
Move you into the other thing and then, yeah.
So they moved me into, I was the director of operations. So my job now was to get all of the sites set up to be able to prep these cars. Now, the interesting thing was when I first joined there, they were selling about 10 cars a month. So we went from 10 cars a month up to about 1,400 cars a month in the space of about 6 months. The USP, I think, for that site was they were really, the pictures they took of the cars were really detailed.
Yeah.
And they were really transparent with the way they imaged.
There's a scratch, you can show it.
Yeah.
If there's a rip, you see it.
Exactly. So we'd have an area on the website under each car called condition, and we would take the pictures of all of the conditions. So the cars were sold, described accurately and sold in that way. So when a customer actually turned up to look at the car, it was as described. And guess what? If it's described accurately and correctly and the customers, they're happy with the price, then there's no argument and there's no friction in that process.
Just the journey from 10 cars a month to 1,400, what drove that? Was it a huge amount of investment in marketing to get traffic to the site, or was it just right place, right time, you hit the zeitgeist and off you went?
Yeah, I think it was right place, right time. To me, it looked like there was a pent-up demand for customers to want to buy big ticket items online. The cars were priced probably 10% cheaper than a manufacturer. So that's a good driver for people who buy on price, lots of people anyway. The web technology we had was pretty cool. The website was, again, a breath of fresh air to anything that I've seen before. It was built solely for that purpose, right? Yeah. And the piece around e-commerce, again, it was never really done before with cars. And even I was quite amazed at the volume of customers that were prepared to buy cars. I mean, you could reserve a car for £100. It would remain on reserve for 3 days. And if you didn't pay another 10% deposit, the vehicles were automatically relisted. So we had that churn going through the site because we know, again, customers like to sit there, think about it. They want to look at the market. Is there a better deal out there? But we had to churn these cars through the system. For two reasons. One, to achieve the days to sell that we wanted to achieve. And two, we had loads of demand coming in, but not enough cars, right? So some of those cars were cars that other people wanted, but it had people sat on them, stopping others from buying them, right? So we created this process where it was £100 deposit and you'd cycle through those cars every 3 days, unless there was a next positive action booked on those cars. There'd be an email coming out. There'd be an email you're coming up to your 3-day limit. And then we just refund the money. And the main reason for that was we were taking the cars directly from fleet companies.
Yeah.
So they were giving us the cars on sale or return. And to them, so the value prop to the fleets was we can achieve higher returns in an auction and we can sell the cars in a similar days or a days to sell like an auction would. So the fleets are like, what's the catch here, right?
I mean, that fleet stock is magic. Yeah. It's 3-year-old. It's been fully maintained.
Yeah.
And at that time, I think I remember because I worked in Fleet at the time. I worked for Fleet News in 2008. There were smart repairers emerging as well. So there were loads of other smart repairers that were coming actually. So the cost of refurb was really had come down.
Yeah, the second site we got was it's called the old Vickers Tank Factory. So it's based up in Leeds. So this building is it's probably half a mile long. It's where they used to build the Vickers tanks, right? And that was our production line and where we used to store the car. So we actually installed these body shops, these smart repair centres, these paintless dent removal places, the ramps for the technicians. It was all done on site, but it was like this straight through production line and everything was about speed, right?
Yeah.
So we could prep a car in 2 days. That was our average, right? And it would, some would need nothing. Some would need a full engine rebuild or whatever.
Yeah.
Depending what's
broken.
wrong. But yeah, our average was like 2 days to prep. And like we knew you need to get the cars through and get them listed on the website because we've got a short amount of time to get these cars sold. And we know also those cars are depreciating, right?
There was massive there was like instant recession. The world went, there was a bailout, wasn't there, of the big OEMs in the States. Like, do you take government money or don't you?
I mean, it was really tricky. They stopped supplying us cars, right? So our main source of supply, it was happening to all the fleets. We had to prep the cars, we had to buy the cars, we had to transport the cars. All of the costs started mounting up and we realised we need way more cash to do this. And our investors weren't prepared to put more cash in, right? So in the end, the business folded, right? But like at the time when we were getting sale and return vehicles, it was growing so quickly. And if that continued, I mean, that business could probably be around today doing the same thing.
Yeah. So 2009, business went a bit pear-shaped. So what next? What happened after that?
So I sat at home for a few months.
Did the garden.
Wondering what I'm going to do. And I just had my second child at that point. So I thought, you know what, just had another kid. I've not really been around much for the first one. But maybe I'll spend some time with
some dadding.
Be a good dad. So I did that for about 3 or 4 months. And I thought I really need to get back into doing something, right? Doing something good. So I enjoyed my time off. So I got a job working for Elms BMW. So I was the group marketing manager for Elms BMW. And again, really another interesting story. I was a group marketing manager. They didn't really understand how online digital marketing works.
Franchises didn't, did they?
No.
They just kind of went, it'll be all right.
I do remember a funny meeting with the dealer principals at the time. And I was explaining to them how online marketing works and how you can pay for certain words and you can drive the traffic in and certain like terms will convert better than other terms. And like the dealer principals were just looking at me going, I never knew you could do this. And this looks like black magic.
When did you kind of move fully into e-commerce? Was that the lead?
So that was then. So I think it was 2013, 12, something like that. I can't remember exact dates. But that's when I joined. So I knew Tim Smith. And the website we bought when I was at Elms was a G-Forces website, right?
Yeah.
Because it was the best tech out there.
Yeah.
Right. That was the reason. And then I got to know Tim. I got to know another chap called Paul Hilton. He was my sort of account director at the time. And he's like, look, do you know what? Why don't you come over here? You seem like a good guy. You know what you're doing. So joined G-Forces and then worked in G-Forces. I started there as a senior project manager. Yeah. And then they put me on like all of these mad OEM global programs that we were just getting into at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember the first deal that we landed at G-Forces, the first OEM deal was Jaguar Land Rover. And I remember like they gave us the most difficult project to do as a test, right? Like no one wanted to touch China at the time, right? And then we managed to stand up our sites in China, and there were so many hoops we had to jump over, right? It was so difficult, but we did it, and we ended up becoming the global provider for Jaguar Land Rover vehicle locators.
The UVL is the one thing, like the vehicle inventory is the one thing actually you need to have. Accurate records, good descriptions, pulling in the right data within the market, all the taxonomy has to kind of sit in that.
An interesting stat, if you look at the data from any website, most traffic, well, I would say, and it fluctuates per site, but most traffic, like 70 to 80%, lands on the vehicle listing page, right? Because that's what people want to look at, right? And then like the homepage is nice from a branding vanity perspective, but customers want to look at the vehicles. And you're right, having the vehicles described accurately, professionally, right? Like it's like dealers do in a showroom, right? You need to make sure your shop window on your online platform is just like your showroom.
So coming back then to the work that you did with JLR in China, which is a massive win actually for a small UK business. That's like a massive win, isn't it? That you think there's a global, yes, they're a UK based OEM, which is great. So you've kind of got the ability to have the relationship, but to land that, they give you the test of see how you get on with this little project and off you go.
Well, it was really, I mean, what was also difficult was Jaguar Land Rover were launching their approved used car program in China at the same time, right? So none of the operational processes are set up. You know, the Jaguar Land Rover dealers in China didn't have many used cars. They didn't really understand the level of prep that needed to be done on them. So it was really difficult. And like obviously we weren't dealing with the operation, the Jaguar Land Rover people were, but obviously that was causing a bit of grit in the gears when you're trying to obviously launch a website and say, hey, we're only going to display cars that are up to a certain age of a certain quality. And they're looking at their cars saying, well, they're not. So
you've got to get that bit right.
Yeah.
So then obviously they're still a customer now, but then from there, I remember when I was, working through the industry, the UVL that G-Forces provided was kind of that. It was everywhere. Most of the OEMs then used it. So how quickly did you then find that adoption with other OEMs? What was the growth trajectory like?
Yeah, we won quite a few UK OEMs for used vehicle locators. I wouldn't say that we had a mass acceleration in terms of OEMs. That our explosion was around the retail part of the business in terms of the number of sites that we'd be deploying. It like OEMs are always they always like the gestation process or is quite long for landing OEMs, and like we would get involved. We had a lot of UK OEMs. The global ones were much harder to land because we're a little small company based in Kent. Yeah. And then these OEMs, well, have you got boots on the ground in these countries? Well, not really, but we'll put some boots on the ground.
We can get some, yeah. We'll find some.
So like we did grow the OEM side of the business quite significantly from 0 to whatever we ended up at. But again, we also worked on the retailer side. And what was important was the OEMs like, oh, actually, we want to talk to you because you've got 50% of our network using your platform. So we became relevant to them because we were attacking it at both ends, from an OEM side and from the retailer side. And I feel that's still a really powerful thing to do. Yeah.
I think most of the market had a G-Forces website, didn't they, at one point? I think it was just because actually retailers didn't know how, in the same way that the BMW showroom that you worked for didn't know how to build SEO, people didn't know how to build a website.
No.
It was just, and I still see in certain countries really terrible websites. You're like, how have you got a website so bad?
Yeah.
Terrible. They look like they were built in the 80s, and they probably were. So it's much easier now to kind of have that skill because you can find young talent or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the time, I think having a templated system that could then stream in your used vehicle locator,
yeah.
You could like have integrations to marketplaces and also have widgets that sat on the site with fintechs and other things. So you could do all of those jobs.
Yeah.
Also trying to talk about the jobs you have to do when you buy a car. All of that was just sat natively on the website.
Yeah. But the thing with it was like, it was a SaaS product, right? Which meant it didn't need developers to go and, code the website. It was built with normal tech support people, right? Who could configure a site in, a matter of hours, right? So you go from 0 to a fully functioning website in hours. And the most of the waiting time was waiting for customers to give you some of the content that they wanted to display on the site, or they thought, we haven't got a privacy policy, but we need to write a privacy policy. And most of it was the waiting time. And, that we've invested in that CMS platform, over the years.
Yeah.
And we still have a CMS platform today to roll out the websites through configuration instead of development, because it's the right way to do it.
So CMS, having your own content management, you have access to your own back end, you can update your own content, you can change your listings. So you don't need to then spend like that tech support, that developer support. You can just do it all yourself.
Do it all yourself.
So I think now as well, we had Nick King on the podcast a few weeks ago. He was talking about how you can now, some retailers still don't fully describe what's in the vehicle. Oh, I don't want to tell them that. Well, tell them that because they're searching for it. If you've got sat-nav, put it in the description. Yeah. It's really important.
And the bit that I still find frustrating today is, and I mentioned it earlier, like 99% of people, before they turn up in a showroom, are doing their research, right? It's probably 99.99% now, I would have thought, right? And still, you look at these websites and you think, well, your showroom is beautiful, your website is a mess, right? Both of those things need to be of adequate standing, right? And especially when you start to think about, the customer behaviors today, they want to have a bricks and clicks type of approach, right?
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. And like, if I looked at a website today and I thought that's a bit of a mess, none of this data is making any sense, I'm not really trusting this particular dealer or retailer,
no.
I probably wouldn't acquire.
You wouldn't go in.
I wouldn't go in. I'd look somewhere else, right? So that's the important.
We buy with our eyes.
Yeah.
And if it looks a mess, you think, and then somebody else got a really nice, easy to use, whatever interface.
Well, it's the old thing, if you go to a restaurant, you go to the toilet, you're like, should I be eating in this restaurant?
So coming up to today and what we're doing now and what you're working on. So you're charged with 2 of the 4 domains. You're the only product owner that has 2, which is supply and demand.
Yeah.
So talk through And I think I love the way that we've taken what was I sort of describe it as, we had like a scattergram of these applications, and now we've just like organized them in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you kind of have the platform in the middle where all the data kind of flows into and out of. And then you've got these other 4 very logical domains that allows us to then accelerate the capabilities of each of those domains. So just going through supply and demand.
So supply, I mean, at the most primitive level, it's about inventory management, right? So managing the vehicles operationally, providing views for salespeople to find the cars that customers are asking for, to be able to find the information about a car. And more so now is we use that platform to manage the vehicle status, right? So that platform then provides always the latest view of a vehicle for a salesperson, because the most frustrating thing for a customer is for a salesperson to try to sell a car that's actually sold, right?
Yeah.
So that you've heard about this whole double selling thing that happens, and the situation gets even worse when you start to bolt on additional marketing channels. So marketplaces such as AutoTrader allow customers to reserve vehicles. The dealer might have their own website that allows customers, to reserve or buy vehicles. They might be advertised somewhere else, right, where customers can reserve and buy vehicles, right? So you need to have that real-time connectivity on vehicle status, right, especially with a multi-channel remarketing approach.
You mentioned Fly earlier on, and actually having that, we talk about you wouldn't want to sell a concert ticket twice, or you wouldn't want to sell a flight seat twice. It's like you've booked it, it's yours. So you've reserved the vehicle, you reserve the vehicle, and it's yours. So actually having single view of inventory, kind of critical, and status, kind of critical. Yeah. So that's the one thing. And that actually has taken in what was previously known in the application scattergram was Salesmaster, wasn't it, that capability? Yeah. So it's bringing in things like fleet stock, new vehicle stock.
Exactly that,
all stock.
So like so historically dealers would just put their used vehicles into like this inventory management solution, right? Then we built a few relationships with some OEMs. We started to get the flow of new vehicles coming into the application, and then more so we'd get the tagged vehicles, which we'd call pipeline vehicles. So they're built vehicles, might be at the port, might be in the production line, right, might be on a boat, right, but they're tagged to that particular location. So then what we said to retailers is, well, actually, these vehicles are coming. You can start to pre-sell or merchandise these vehicles before they become physical.
Yeah.
And then also with that extra stock flowing into the application, there's more stock for salespeople to sell, right? So, and also we created this whole thing around group stock, which just mushed all the stock together in a single view. Now salespeople can see all the inventory around a single dealer group.
Yeah. So don't just tell me what you've got on your forecourt. Actually, I don't care if you might have to ship it in. You're saying people are getting it shipped to their house. It shouldn't really matter if you need to kind of have it driven from 30 miles away or 50 miles away. Yeah. If it's in your group of stock, you should all have access to it, because we also know, and AI will really accelerate this, if you can then overlay what consumers are searching for in that postcode, you make sure you optimize your stock for that postcode. Yeah. You advertise what people are looking for.
That's right.
Wouldn't that be great? That'd be really good if you can do that. Yeah. We can do that. Yeah, good.
We can do that.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So then, so that's like your inventory management part of it, with all the different streams of stock coming into that application, an interface for salespeople or stock controllers to always have the latest view of the data. That then underpins the website. It gives controls to retailers to publish cars onto various marketplaces such as AutoTrader, CarGurus, or the full list of marketplaces. And more so now, what we're looking at is within that domain where you have our asset risk management products, right? So these are products that leasing companies purchase, and it allows them to upload their fleet, and it allows them to value their fleet at any point in time. So today, tomorrow, into the future, and it really helps them plan for for movements in residual value or changes in market dynamics. It allows them to apply any macroeconomics to the data set, and they're able to value it with a click of a button.
So you can dynamically price the stuff that you're disposing of as well as the stuff that you might be buying. So I think that's the thing for me. When you give it the scale of leasing companies stock risk, how can you help them to know the magic moment to dispose of or refinance or put through other channels those pieces of stock?
I think once we have our vehicle hub product rolled out further afield, and we've got more people using it, we've got more connections coming into it, then really we could be giving insight to leasing companies around the best time to actually take a car off fleet. Like, should I drop these cars into the market today? Well, no, because there's a glut of them over here. Don't do that. maybe drip feed them, maybe hold off, maybe extend the lease for 6 months, right? So there's lots of intelligence that we can start to provide to fleet customers in the future because we now have this connected platform, and it really is connected throughout. I would say like lots of the industry now. We're not in every place, but we would like to be. You would like to be in a lot more places. More data is key to this.
So the data that I suppose we see through the demand side is retail pricing and actually transactional pricing.
Yep.
So it's not just advertised price; it's what the price of the vehicle was sold for. So you kind of got that in the back end of your data pool of how you can then really start to see what stock turn looks like, where people are buying, what's happening in terms of transaction trend, and so the valuation of that stock.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have advertised price, you've got transaction price. Before coming into Keyloop, we could never, like ATG or GeForce, we could never get transaction price. And transaction price for me, is the price that the car actually sells for, not the price it was advertised for. Right. And if you know the transaction price, then you're much closer to knowing the market price. Right. And again, I look at the data that we have, it's such a huge database of data, probably the biggest in the world, I would say, in automotive. So there's lots of cool stuff we can do in the future around, dynamic pricing or market pricing, and we can make this available to our customers, again, insight is key, right? If you've got the data and you've got the insight informing you, then you're probably going to make a better decision, right? Yeah. Whether it's buying a car, pricing a car, the data is king.
I think it is as well. We get very stuck on the vehicle forecourt, like what's in your forecourt right now, rather than it doesn't matter where the stock is. E-commerce, the stuff's just going to get delivered to you. I don't care what I'm looking online where my Amazon parcel is coming from, probably local, but if not, it's going to come. The whole logistics supply chain piece is another really interesting, it's hugely interesting, very complex network. But actually how you get the stock to a person, kind of based on what they're looking for, you can just find exactly what you're looking for based on your search history and everything else.
Well, I mean, from a fulfillment perspective, again, I go back to the days when I was at the online car supermarket. We just worked with a number of fulfillment agents, right? And the cars were literally delivered by a driver in a suit, right? to the customer's house, and then they would look at they would know if there was a part exchange to collect. They would inspect the part exchange and they drive it back. Like there is a lot more sophistication today in the marketplace with these providers. But again, we haven't got anything major in the fulfillment space today. But I could see us having something quite easily. So
and we'll come on to the demand bit, I think, because there's 3 areas of demand, which is like the acquire, convert, returns. It's the whole website piece. Yep. But do you think then? I mean, obviously, retailers, we went through COVID, everyone went online, we came out of COVID, people went back into stores. And there is always going to be, like you say, bricks and clicks. There will always be some humans that want to walk into a showroom, some humans that don't want to walk into a showroom. They're happy to take they know it's a 3-year-old piece of stock. They're more than happy to buy it as it is, if the price and if it's well described and arrives as described. Or with now AI, what it's going to look like when it's been refurbed. So you can see how it is now, but also what it's going to look like. Yeah. Do you think there is a time when retailers, this is a terrifying question for retailers, that people don't want to go into showrooms?
No, I honestly do not believe that, right? It's such a large ticket item, and especially when you look at used cars, right? The condition is key, right? And even if you describe a vehicle as accurately as you can, I think there'll always be a need for a customer to go and view a car. And that may well reduce over time, right? There'll be people will get, more familiar with buying cars online, but not in my lifetime. I can't see it being fully e-commerce.
No. Okay. But I'll ask the question because it's like you've seen every different version of this situation. Yeah. So demand then. So we've done supply, which is all around stock, management of inventory, accuracy of descriptions, and then see where the stock is coming from. Like what's the pipeline of stock, whether it's new, used, whatever, previous. And then demand is the front end. That was, I think, the bit that was missing from our back end ERP system. So we kind of talk about now ARP, which is the retail platform, right the way through. So this is the bit where you've got acquire, convert, retain. There are 3 areas.
That's right.
And I want to come on and talk about KPIs in a minute, because that's something I think you talk about really well, is that you just hyper focus on what's important. But the demand domain then, which is probably your sweet spot from your background and where you've come from.
So most of the demand tech has been acquired from ATG. And really, and you mentioned it, there's 3 sort of outcomes in there: acquire, convert, retain. Acquire is all about the tools that we provide to help acquire new customers. Okay, so fundamentally, the main tool in there is the website or acquisition hub. E-commerce enabled. It can be lead gen. It can do full payments. It can do end-to-end finance. But these are the tools that we use to capture that traffic hitting the website, convert that traffic into leads, and we try to convert those leads in the most optimal way that traffic to leads in the most optimal way as possible. So one of the key KPIs that we focus on in the acquire stream is the cost per acquisition. Okay, so if you can acquire customers more cheaply, and you convert them at a similar rate that you normally do, then your cost per sale is significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
So they're all the tools. Well, that's the main tool in our acquire stream. But we also have showroom technology. This is where we take the website, bring it into the showroom, put it on a touchscreen interface. Typically would put that into an area of high dwell time, like a service department when customers are milling about, probably a little bit bored waiting for their car. They can have a play around with this touchscreen device. They can look at the dealer's inventory. They can look at their offers. And if there's something on that site that takes their fancy, we put QR codes onto that device. So if the customer's interested in something, they can take a picture of the QR code with their mobile phone, and all of that activity they've been doing on that device will save up to their account area. So when they go home and they've got a bit more time, they can pretty much pick up where they left off within the showroom, right? And again, that's critical, right? No one wants to keep repeating themselves, right? You want to pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
I do anyway.
We did this thing, we did some user testing, a few years ago now, but it was just that big pain point of, I've done all of this work, and you can be going through the configurator, often it's the new car configurator or whatever, but you then can't save it. And so you have to you do exactly that. You go back in and then they think you're a walk-in and they ask you to repeat everything you've just done. And you're like, I want the blue one with that interior. And I just want that one. Yeah. Can I have that one? And it's like how we shop. It's like, I've seen the thing I want. How much is it? And
you know yourself, right? Like when you look at talked about it earlier, Uber Eats or Deliveroo or Just Eat or whatever, right? What do people use it? Well, it's easy. It's convenient, right?
I click on the thing. The dude brings it to my door.
Exactly. But then you look at automotive and go, why do we make it so difficult for people to buy cars? Just make it easy, right? If you make it easy, you're probably going to get more people buying cars, right? I mean, look what's happened to these food apps, right? A massive explosion. So, I am laser focused on having a super clean website, a website that doesn't create confusion. It creates a nice funnel, right? It converts the traffic into leads, right? And fundamentally, that's how we demonstrate our value to our customers who use that platform. There's other tools that we can plug in there. We've got, mentioned it, the AI video generation tools where we can stitch together still images and turn them into nice videos with soundtracks. It can call out the fitted equipment. We've got our 3D visualization software where we can build cars from CAD.
I know. But it's how you want to buy it. If you're looking at something, you want it to feel, it's a high ticket item. The experience of buying it should feel high ticket, shouldn't it really? Should feel like you've invested in the tech to be able to actually zoom in and look at it and not just have some static thing that you can't do anything with. But also don't make me go through the whole configuration journey. If I don't have to, can you simplify that so I don't have to then go through an add-on which gearbox, which wheels, which blah, blah. Yeah. You can do that, but also you might just want to have that one. And it's pre-configured. Yeah. Like the designer's done it for me. I can buy the suit with the thing already built in.
And what we allow customers to do as well, like in lots of cases, customers will probably come to the site and go, oh, there isn't a car that I actually want, right? I can't find the car that I want. So they can save a search, right? And they save that to their account area. And then what the platform does, right? Again, not rocket science, but it just tells the customer when the car they're looking for comes into stock. And I know if a customer clicks on that and sees it, and they come back to the site, that click is high, there's a lot more potential for that click to turn into a lead or to a transaction because you sent a highly qualified click back to a website and you're showing them what they want.
Exactly what I'm looking for. I think that's the other thing as well is, Anson, it's don't make me think too hard. If you can find it when I'm not looking, oh my God, thank you. That's amazing. So you do, I don't even think we have that massively we do get retargeted in normal e-commerce, but you mentioned account area a couple of times. And when you've described it to me before, I'm like, why isn't everybody just using that? Because we have, as consumers, we have so many accounts. Yep. I just look at the password thing on my phone. It's like, I've got so many accounts. I've got my details saved in so many places. And I'm happy to store it because I've chosen to store it and save it because I don't want to have to redo it. Yeah. And it knows my behavior, knows my buying patterns. So the account area, allows you as a consumer to manage your own life. Because we're also building into that now, not just new car vehicle sales, but the retention thing. So actually how you then book your servicing, at what point do you target me with the next thing? Yeah. I think that's the game-changing tech that we're launching.
Yeah, and like, again, I see the account, and I know from a consumer perspective, like I've got accounts everywhere, right? And it's confusing. But we try to make it super simple. We allow customers to use a social login. So if you've got an account with Facebook or Apple, you could just do a one-click login, which is nice. It removes a barrier, right, to creating an account. And then once in the account, you said it right. Today, the account area looks at the research part of the journey. So you're able to save vehicles. The platform will send you alerts. You're able to save searches. It will send you alerts. You're able to manage your purchase in there. And then what we've recently launched is the ability now to do the renewals in there. So what the platform does is it looks at your current vehicle, right? It assumes you want to pay the same monthly payment. And then it goes, right, for the same monthly payment with no additional money in, you've now got access to all these other new cars. Right. So it just starts to bring that renewal journey rather than it being quite an offline process today where a salesperson phones a customer. All we're doing now is making all of those renewal offers available to every customer in the account area. So it sits there until you're ready to interact with it. It's there, right? Because the platform keeps telling you every month, hey, your contract's matured a bit more. Your offers might be a bit stronger. And again, like I talked about earlier,
equity's higher,
equity's higher, right? You've paid a little bit more off on your loan, so the you probably got a bit more equity. So the offers mature if you wait because you're paying off more money. And then really, when the customer gets that notification, we know, right? Like I said earlier, that's a highly qualified click coming back to the website. You send highly qualified clicks back to a website, much more likely to go on and buy something.
And that's the thing, like cost per acquisition, I think was one KPI, isn't it? Yeah. In that part of the domain, it's like we need to bring that cost per acquisition down. Yeah. Funny enough, Jane Smith was on the episode as well a few weeks ago from ThoughtSpot, and she was talking about how can we help dealers, retailers really understand the profitability of that stock, like with everything factored in, not just what I've paid for it, what I've sold it for. It's everything. It's like the cost of storing it, the cost of cleaning it, the cost of like the staff that work around the showroom. So everything that kind of goes into that stock. So the KPI is completely accurate. Yeah. And that's some of the stuff that we're now building into our data sets that start to allow you to do that.
And we'll be able to see all of that through Vega. Vega is our new reporting tool, as you probably know. And like I said earlier, it's all about the data. It's all about the insight, and it's about actionable insight. Like, because again, when you look at data, you're like, I find myself just asking another question when I look at a report. And like what we're able to do with the Vega reporting is you can literally have a conversation with the data, right? So if you're like, well, show me a bit more about that, or tell me how many more cars I sold, or how many more cars I could sell, the platform will start to give you the answers. It'll act like a co-pilot.
Yeah, I love that. I think if you could ask your co-pilot, what stock should I be acquiring at what price based on my search returns or my search results? I mean, the buyers, we did a piece of work years ago when we launched what was then called iControl, but it was about how do you use real market pricing through Auto Trader to know what to buy in your area. And retailers still had buyers like, oh no, I know what to buy. I walk up and I like touch the car. I know what it's worth. You go, do you though? Why don't you use data to help inform that decision? Yeah. And I'm just like, oh my God. Yeah.
So, and iControl at the time was a really good tool. We used to use it back in Elms, right?
But it's data driven.
Exactly.
It's with real market data. It's been relaunched now as something else. But actually, the wealth of data inside marketplaces is staggering because they have hundreds of thousands of pieces of stock and millions of clicks from consumers giving you data on behavior to allow you to make an informed decision. Exactly. So why would you ignore all of that and just go, you're all right, I'll make my own decision?
Like, I mean, again, you look at the demand data, it's a good indicator around whether your price is right. So if the demand is nowhere, you have no demand on the vehicle, you probably want to look at the price. You probably want to look at the vehicle as well to make sure you've listed it properly and it's merchandised correctly, right? Because again, I've seen cars on websites parked in a forecourt with rubbish around it. You're like, well, why would you do that?
And also, why would you keep stock for that? I mean, I know stock can sometimes sit on a forecourt for a while, but at that point, if it's not selling, dispose of it. trade it out, get rid of it, and stock something that is going to turn a profit for you. So just thinking about what's coming next in Anson. So we've reorged a lot of the squads and domains, and you're kind of charged with 2 really chunky bits. What's exciting you right now then? What are you kind of looking forward to in the next 12 months? Because there's a lot on the roadmap for you.
We've got a lot of new stuff coming. So like the My Account renewal piece that I talked about earlier, that's going to be available in a number of markets. So that's going to be really exciting. Love to see how that goes as we roll it out further afield. We've got a brand new product coming, which is called Sales Hub. So this is a new product we built from the ground up. We started probably less than 12 months ago. We're due to launch it in Canada next month for a series of early adopters. And this product, Sales Hub, it stitches together the processes around lead response, lead nurture, desking and quoting, and then like the documentation piece in a single workflow. Right. And again, why have we done that? Well, when you listen to salespeople out there, they're like, I have to log into like 15 different systems when I'm trying to sell a car. Wouldn't it be great if I could just have it all in one system? So guess what? That's
on my phone, on my iPad, on my device.
Yeah, and that's what we've built, right? And we've built it in a way where it integrates with the website and integrates with My Account. So imagine now you're going and you're buying a car and you're sat with a salesperson, but you went in there on a whim, right? And your partner isn't with you. And you sat there and you're looking at the car and you're looking at the deal and you're like, it's a great deal, but if I buy that car, my partner's going to kill me, right? So I need to probably have a discussion before I buy that car.
Yeah. So what family decision? Let's make a decision jointly. Yeah.
So what the salesperson is able to do is share all of that information, all of that quoting, all of the quotes they built for you into your account area, and it's sat there ready until you're ready. So when you go home and you have your dinner and you sit down with your partner, you've got a bit of spare time. You can look at a deal together and go, right, actually, I really like that car. It's stacked against other deals you've maybe built yourself on the website. And then you've got a decision to make. If you're happy with a deal, you can just check out online if you're confident enough to do it online. Or if not, you can start a chat with the salesperson and they can do it on your behalf when they start again in the morning. But again, we're really just, we're trying to make it easy. We're trying to make it convenient for customers to buy cars. That's it. It's not rocket science. It's simplicity.
Yeah. And it's the way they want to buy the car. Yeah. It's like you say, you can either do it yourself online at home with your partner, with your family. Go, should we go for this? Let's go for it. Brilliant. Go for it. Or I'm going to come back in and see a salesperson the next day and just do it. If you have any questions, I think that's the thing that's been such a, like, why didn't we do this sooner? Why couldn't we do it sooner? Probably because the tech wasn't available. Yeah. And like you said, there are so many different point solutions that everyone's had to kind of create their own little workaround. But it is, for salespeople in the dealership, a massive pain point. For consumers, it's just frustrating. Yeah. So I think that's actually finally brilliant. It's about time we can do these things in one go that allows you to pull together all of those different jobs that you have to go through.
That's it.
And then do it in one go. So that sounds brilliant.
And like that's just like the core workflow. I mean, we're injecting really helpful tools in there for salespeople, like AI tools, right? Co-pilots, right? Things that are saying, hey, have you thought about adding on these value-added products, right? Or, again, you might be sat with a salesperson and asking them a question around what's the size of the boot in litres? The sales guy's going, oh my God, how do I work this out? We'll ask the co-pilot, he'll just tell you the answer.
Because all the stuff, that's the other thing as well, is in the car brochure, in the vehicle brochures, all of that information is there. Yeah. But it's just blooming hard to find. It's all like locked in, you've got to go through pages and pages. So it does make sense that you actually have got co-pilots just going to go, hang on a minute, there you go. We had this conversation outside. I have long conversations with ChatGPT about when should I schedule this event? Was it going to clash with this? Blah, 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 blah. So I have like a whole, let me just look for you. And that, so it's doing, it would take me hours to do all of that research to look at, are there these events? Does that clash with that event? Which market is it going to be? And it will just do it all for me. So I think bringing that into this domain or this space into the automotive world is fantastic because it can, I think total cost of ownership as well. There's loads and loads of WLTP data locked in really massive PDFs that you just lose the will to live trying to trawl through. But even like if you've got it connected to the data, the co-pilot could just say to the sales guy, people who buy this type of car of this age typically buy a warranty. They buy a service plan. Just give that information. The sales guy, all right, brilliant. I'll sell them a warranty. Years ago, someone said to me at Volkswagen, I went from Fleet News to Auto Trade, he said, could you do the Amazon thing where they suggest people that bought this also buy these? I was like, yeah, we should do that. And we couldn't do it, but like now you can. Like, yay. But that is it, isn't it? Where it's the buying experience we're used to. And if the consumer is told people that buy cars of this age tend to buy a warranty, the consumer will say, Should I probably have a warranty?
Yeah.
So can you serve that information to the consumer, or does it go straight to the sales team?
Yeah, we can serve that to the consumer. So at the moment, we only do unregulated products, just because selling regulated products in the UK is quite a complicated process.
Right.
But in the future, we'll be able to sell regulated products too.
So the F&I team could then sell the regulated products if they're
the
regulated.
F&I team can sell the regulated products inside Sales Hub today. All I'm saying is we wouldn't today show a regulated product to a consumer on the front end of the website and let them buy it without putting them through a treating customers fairly type of process.
Yeah, which you have to do legally anyway. It's important that they know you've got to know your facts, know your customer stuff.
Exactly. But again, when you look at the account area and you think about placing an order and waiting for your car, you've got a perfect opportunity to then sell additional products to customers, regulated insurance products, because you've got the cooling off period. It's all behind that account area. All of that data is logged. We can put the question and answer sets in there. Perfect time, right? Because everyone hates waiting for their car, right? Everyone wants their car straight away. But if you can start to pepper in some of this, some of these products that customers may well buy, even accessories, right? They could buy them. You just got to offer them.
Yeah. Blimey. Okay, so cool. So excited about that then. So what else then, as we kind of bring to a close, what are the things that you think retailers should be thinking about as they engineer that kind of retail experience for the future? Because this is really aimed at retailers, even though some OEMs will sell direct. Yeah. Some will have a OEM into the retail space. Some will kind of, so just depending on which market we're in. What should retailers be thinking about?
I mean, again, we talked about it earlier, but making sure the cars displayed on their website are as good as you show them in your showroom. That's key, right? Providing choice on your website. So allow customers to submit a lead if they want to, talk to you through a chat interface if they want to, reserve a car if they want to, more options, right? Like the more, because again, not every customer is the same. Believe it or not, every customer is different, and certain things will resonate with some, and others, other things with other customers. So I would say choice on there. I would say make sure your website is super clean, right? Don't litter it with too many adverts. Again, customers come to a website because they're there for a purpose. Don't detract from the journey they're on with adverts, because that does confuse.
Pop-ups drive me mental. Hate them.
Yeah. And then I would say from a sales operation perspective, make sure you've got systems that capture all your leads, right? Make sure that you're working those leads as best as possible. Again, another piece of tech we're rolling out is the ability to use AI to nurture those leads and then hand off to a salesperson when those leads are hot enough. So a lead management process is key. Make sure you haven't got a leaky bucket. And then make sure you've got a solid process for converting those leads into sales. And again, that's the reason why we build Sales Hub, right? Because it's a known problem in the industry, and we're aiming to solve lots of those problems in that sales domain with that product. Yeah,
find the pain points, try and fix them. Okay.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So I think having clean websites, really good descriptions, the right images, be transparent. Transparency is such a critical moment, I think, when it comes to building trust, that people want to buy in the right way. And keep it clean, get rid of the point. You shouldn't really have pop-ups on your own website, to be honest, because you don't want anybody else to go anywhere else. So, I think absolutely there's no reason for them. We get them everywhere else.
Yeah.
But when they've actually got through to your website, keep it.
When someone's in a funnel, if you create any bit of confusion while they're in that funnel, it's a diversion, right? So keep the funnel super clean. Don't have lots of stuff going on around the sides of it, right? If they're reserving a car, the one thing they want to see is, how do I reserve this car? They don't want to see adverts. They want to know about the reservation.
Or even save it and come back. I think that's the other thing as well, that when we were doing the user testing years ago, the ability just to save it, because it's quite a long process and I get distracted, there's other things going on. But if you see something you like, you can save it for later.
Yeah.
Just make it easy for me to save it for later. Then you've got me in the account. You can then track all the stuff that I'm doing.
That's it.
And target me in that account. That's just the most magical relationship you can have with a digital consumer is have them in the account area in your space.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly it. And the last thing I would say is make sure you got a solid digital marketing strategy, right? Because there's tools that you can use today. You can if you've got a marketing team and you can drive in that additional traffic, right? You've got a website that convert that traffic into customers, then all you're doing is putting more fuel into your business, right? And even if you just convert them at a normal rate, more fuel means more sales, right? So I would definitely invest in a digital marketing strategy.
So every channel. So actually, how you drive leads from, we've seen TikTok shopping now exploding. People are buying high ticket items in those channels. So actually, make sure that you're optimizing in every channel to make sure you get your leads into whichever bucket you need to get them into, but target all consumers through, not old people like my mum on TikTok because my kids are on there, but that's the only reason.
And then, the other thing I would say is start to invest in like automation technology, right? Again, the return on sales for a dealer is relatively low in relation to other verticals. So, what tools can you introduce to help do some of the heavy lifting, right? Help, remove some of those mundane tasks that people are doing, right? Get computers and machines and robots to do it. Let the humans talk to customers, right? Delight customers. That is my recommendation of what they should do.
Brilliant. So Anson Moniz, that was an amazing episode. Thank you so much for joining me on the Drivetime podcast. And we'll be back shortly for the gear change episode when I'm going to be drilling into your playlists. I can't wait for that.
Oh dear.
Thanks again to Anson Moniz, who is the VP of Product at Keyloop. That was incredibly insightful. So if you are a retailer and you want to know how to make sure that you get loads of leads coming in for the right stock at the right price, I hope you've enjoyed that episode and you should have some great strategies to make sure you're optimizing your site in the best way. Don't forget, if you're watching us on YouTube, do give us a like, subscribe and follow for more. You'll never miss an episode of the Drivetime podcast.